The morning sun rose over Haven 7 like it always did. The light was different from Earth's sun. It was softer, more orange, but the colonists had grown to love it. This small world at the edge of known space had become home to 10,000 humans. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, and families just trying to build something peaceful. Jiwoo stood on the bridge of his patrol ship, the Morning Star. It was a small frigate, nothing fancy. His job was simple. Watch the outer system for asteroids or pirates. Boring work, but it paid well. It let him support his wife Daeun and their daughter back on the colony. He smiled thinking about them. Daeun taught at the school. Their daughter was learning to play piano in the community center. He checked his sensors. Everything looked normal. The system was quiet. Haven 7 spun slowly below. Its farms spread across the continents like a green blanket. The domes of the settlements reflected sunlight. From this distance, it looked like a peaceful painting. Down on the surface, Governor Taemin was having breakfast with his staff. They were discussing the upcoming harvest festival. The crops were doing better than expected this year. The children had grown taller in the lighter gravity. Everyone was happy. Life was good on Haven 7. Dr. Yuna was already at the hospital. She was checking on a pregnant woman who would give birth soon. The hospital was small but well equipped. They had everything they needed. Yuna loved her work. She had left Earth 5 years ago to help build this colony. It was the best decision she ever made. The children were walking to school. They laughed and played, their backpacks bouncing. They learned Earth history and math and science. They grew vegetables in the school garden. They dreamed about the future. Some wanted to be pilots. Others wanted to explore new worlds. The galaxy seemed full of possibilities. Then the sky changed. Jiwoo saw them first on his sensors. Ships. Big ones. Coming out of faster-than-light travel right at the edge of the system. His blood went cold. The signatures were Vraxian. The Vraxian Empire was known across the galaxy. They were strong, aggressive. They believed they owned any space they wanted. He immediately sent a message to the colony. Unknown ships detected. Vraxian signatures. All stations prepared defensive protocols. But Haven 7 had no real defenses. They were a farming colony. They had never needed weapons. They were not at war with anyone. Governor Taemin received the warning. His face went pale. He activated the emergency broadcast system. All citizens, this is Governor Taemin. We have unknown ships approaching. Please move to the emergency shelters calmly. This is not a drill. Families stopped what they were doing. Parents grabbed their children. Teachers led students toward the reinforced shelters beneath the domes. But there was confusion, fear. People did not understand what was happening. Haven 7 was peaceful. Why would anyone attack them? Dr. Yuna helped evacuate the hospital. She and the nurses moved patients toward the underground levels. The pregnant woman was scared. Yuna held her hand. It will be okay, she said. But she did not believe her own words. Jiwoo tried to contact the Vraxian ships. This is Lieutenant Jiwoo of the human patrol vessel Morning Star. You are approaching a peaceful colony. Please state your intentions. No response. He tried again. Still nothing. The Vraxian fleet consisted of 12 warships. They moved into position above Haven 7. Their weapons powered up. Energy signatures spiked across Jiwoo's sensors. His heart hammered in his chest. Please respond, he shouted into the communicator. This is a civilian colony. There are children here. Then the bombardment began. Beams of plasma rained down from orbit. They struck the domes with incredible force. The shields that protected the settlements from radiation and meteors were not designed for weapons. They shattered instantly. Explosions blossomed across the surface like terrible flowers. Jiwoo watched his screen in horror. He could see the impacts. He could see the domes collapsing. He tried to call Daeun. Daeun, answer me. Her face appeared on the screen. She was running. Behind her, the school was on fire. Children were screaming. Jiwoo, they are attacking us. I do not know why. I cannot. The signal cut to static. Daeun, nothing. Just static and the terrible sound of his own breathing. On the surface, Governor Taemin tried to organize the evacuation. But there was nowhere to run. The bombardment was everywhere. The school was hit. The hospital was hit. The residential domes were hit. He saw families trying to reach the shelters. They did not make it. He grabbed his communicator one last time. To anyone listening, this is Governor Taemin of Haven 7. We are under attack by Vraxian forces. We have done nothing to provoke this. We are civilians. The government building exploded around him. He did not finish his message. Dr. Yuna was in the underground level of the hospital when the ceiling came down. She saw it happening. She threw herself over the pregnant woman and 2 other patients. The reinforced concrete crushed her. She died instantly. The people she tried to protect died seconds later. The children in the school tried to hide. Their teachers tried to protect them. But the walls could not stop the weapons. Fire swept through the classrooms. The piano in the music room melted. The books in the library burned. The laughter and dreams turned to silence. Jiwoo's ship was too far away, too small, too slow. He pushed the engines as hard as they would go, but he could not reach the colony in time. He could only watch as everything he loved was destroyed. The bombardment lasted 17 minutes. When it stopped, Haven 7 was gone. The domes were shattered. The farms were burning. The settlements were rubble. 10,000 people gone, every man, woman, and child, erased from existence. A message came through on the emergency channel. It was from the Vraxian fleet. The voice was cold and clicking, translated by the computer. This sector belongs to the Vraxian Empire. Humans are too weak to hold territory here. Let this be a lesson. Do not expand beyond your means. This world is now claimed by the Empire. The Vraxian ships left. They jumped to faster-than-light travel and disappeared. They left behind only death and ash. Jiwoo brought his ship into orbit. He searched for survivors. He scanned every frequency. He called every name he knew. There was no response. The colony was silent. He landed near what used to be the school. The building was gone. He walked through the ruins. He found a child's backpack, a burned book, a melted piece of the piano. He fell to his knees and screamed. When he returned to his ship, he was different. Something inside him had broken, or maybe something had awakened. He gathered all the data from his ship's sensors. Every scan, every recording, every piece of evidence. He set course for Earth. The journey would take months. He would travel alone with only his grief and his memories. But he would make it. He would tell Earth what happened here. He would make sure everyone knew what the Vraxians had done. As the Morning Star left the Haven 7 system, Jiwoo made a promise. He spoke it aloud in the empty bridge. I will remember every single one of you. I will remember Daeun. I will remember Governor Taemin. I will remember Dr. Yuna. I will remember all 10,000. And I swear they will pay for this. Every single one of them will pay. The stars outside the window did not answer. But Jiwoo did not need an answer. He already knew what he had to do. He would spend the rest of his life making sure the Vraxians understood their mistake. They had taught humanity what cruelty looked like. Now humanity would show them what revenge looked like. The Galactic Council chamber was a place of beauty. Its walls were made of crystal that caught light from 100 different stars. The ceiling was so high it seemed to touch the sky. Representatives from 87 different species gathered here to make decisions that affected billions of lives across the galaxy. Today, the chamber was more crowded than usual. News of the Haven 7 incident had spread quickly. The humans had requested an emergency session. Many council members were curious. Humans were still new to galactic politics. They had only been in space for about 200 years. That was nothing compared to species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. Ambassador Kyung-soo stood at the center of the chamber. He looked terrible. His eyes were red from crying. His hand shook. He had not slept in days. The journey from Earth to the council station had taken weeks. Every day he had looked at the reports from Haven 7. Every day he had read the names of the dead. Around him, the council members sat in their designated areas. Some looked like humans. Others were completely alien. There were beings made of energy, beings that floated in tanks of liquid, beings with too many arms or no arms at all. The diversity of the galaxy was on full display. The Vraxian delegate sat in a raised platform to the left. His name was Vrextal. He was tall, covered in a hard shell that looked like dark metal. His multiple eyes watched Kyung-soo with what might have been amusement. It was hard to tell with Vraxian faces. Next to him sat several other Vraxian officials. They whispered to each other in their clicking language. The council speaker called the session to order. She was a Veltari, a species known for their fairness and patience. Her skin was blue and covered in patterns that glowed softly. The human delegation has requested this emergency session. Ambassador Kyung-soo, you may present your case. Kyung-soo stepped forward. He activated a holographic display. Images appeared above him. Pictures of Haven 7 before the attack. Farms, schools, families smiling. Then the after images. Ruins, fire, death. His voice cracked as he spoke. 10,000 people. That is how many died on Haven 7. They were farmers, teachers, engineers, children. Most of them had never even held a weapon. They were building a peaceful life on a world that threatened no one. He pointed at the Vraxian section. The Vraxian Empire attacked without warning, without communication, without mercy. They destroyed everything in 17 minutes. There were no survivors except for one patrol ship that was too far away to help. The chamber was silent. Some council members looked uncomfortable. Others seemed bored. Many species had conflicts with their neighbors. Death was common in the galaxy. Why was this attack special? Vraxian stood up. His voice came through a translator that made the clicking sounds into words. The human speaks with emotion, not reason. Haven 7 was established in a sector that the Vraxian Empire had already claimed. The humans knew this. They ignored our territorial markers. They built their colony anyway. Kyung-soo's face turned red with anger. That sector was unclaimed. We checked all galactic records. There was no... You checked records that you, as new species, barely understand. Vraxian interrupted. The Empire has held that space for 300 years. Just because we do not actively occupy every world does not mean we do not own them. Your expansion was illegal. We had every right to remove the trespassers. Remove? Kyung-soo shouted. You killed children. You murdered civilians. You could have sent a warning. You could have asked us to leave. Why waste time with warnings when you had already been warned by our territorial claims? Vraxian made a gesture that might have been a shrug. Your species expands too quickly. You claim worlds without permission. This was a lesson. Perhaps now you will be more careful. Several council members nodded. The Kelvari delegate spoke up. While the loss of life is regrettable, territorial disputes are common. The humans should have verified ownership more carefully before colonizing. Kyung-soo felt his heart sinking. They were not going to help. They saw Haven 7 as just another border dispute. Just politics. Just numbers on a screen. Regrettable? He said quietly. You call the murder of 10,000 innocent people regrettable? The council speaker raised a hand. Ambassador Kyung-soo, please control your emotions. The council understands your grief, but we must look at this logically. The Vraxian Empire claims the territory was theirs. Do you have proof otherwise? Kyung-soo pulled up more data. We have scans of the sector from 50 years ago. No Vraxian presence, no territorial beacons, no settlements, nothing. The space was empty. Vraxian clicked in what might have been laughter. 50 years is nothing. We claimed that sector 300 years ago. Your sensors simply could not detect our markers. That is not our problem. The council members whispered among themselves. The situation was becoming messy. Both sides claimed the same space. This could take years to resolve. And honestly, most of them did not care very much. Humans were weak, new, unimportant in the grand scheme of galactic politics. The Korvashi delegate suggested a compromise. Perhaps the Vraxian Empire could offer compensation to the human government. A payment for the lives lost. This would settle the matter peacefully. Vraxian considered this. The Empire is willing to be generous. We will pay a sum of 50 million galactic credits to the human government. This is more than fair for a legal settlement. Kyung-soo could not believe what he was hearing. 50 million credits for 10,000 lives. That was 5,000 credits per person, the cost of a small ship, the price of basic equipment. You think you can buy forgiveness for genocide with pocket change? His voice was shaking with rage. It is more than you deserve, Vraxian replied coldly. Take the offer or take nothing. Those are your options, then a voice spoke. It was deep and resonant like the sound of a massive bell. It echoed through the entire chamber. Everyone stopped talking. Even Vraxian turned to look. The voice came from a containment field in the highest section of the chamber. Inside the field was a being of pure energy, shifting lights and colors that hurt to look at directly. This was Elder Talvor, one of the oldest beings on the council. He rarely spoke. Some members had served for decades without hearing his voice. You make a grave error, the elder said. The chamber became completely silent. When an elder spoke, everyone listened. I have studied the humans extensively, Talvor continued. They are not like you. They are not like any species currently on this council. You see their emotions and think them weak. You see their grief and think them broken. You are wrong. Vrextal shifted uncomfortably. The elder speaks in riddles. Humans are soft. They cry over death. They have no stomach for real conflict. No, Talvor said firmly. They have something you have all bred out of yourselves through thousands of years of civilization. They remember. They remember every wound, every slight, every injustice, and they do not forget. Ever. Several council members made sounds of disagreement. The Veltari speaker spoke carefully. Elder Talvor, surely you exaggerate. All species remember their history. You remember facts, the elder replied. Dates and events written in books. Humans remember feelings. They pass trauma from generation to generation. They teach their children about wrongs committed centuries ago. And most important of all, they have something terrifying. They have patience. Kyung-soo stood very still. He was listening carefully to every word. When you wound a human, Talvor continued, they do not rage immediately. They do not attack blindly. They step back. They think. They plan, they wait. And when they finally strike back, it is with cold calculation. They turn their pain into fuel. Their grief into weapons. Their love for the dead into an unstoppable force. Vrextal clicked dismissively. The elder grows old and speaks nonsense. Humans are weak. We destroyed their colony in minutes. If they were dangerous, they would have stopped us. That one patrol ship, the elder said. The survivor. What was his name? Kyung-soo answered quietly. Lieutenant Jiwoo. Lieutenant Jiwoo watched everyone he loved die, Talvor said. He could do nothing to stop it. Do you think he will forget? Do you think he will forgive? Do you think he will accept 50 million credits and move on with his life? What can one human do? Vrextal laughed. Even if their entire species wanted revenge, they are too primitive. Too weak, too emotional. They will cry and wail and eventually accept reality. Mark my words, the elder said, and his voice became even deeper. This will not end with compensation. This will not end peacefully. You have awakened something in humanity that you cannot understand. And when they return, and they will return, you will remember this day. You will remember that I warned you. The chamber erupted in discussion. Many council members thought the elder was being dramatic. Humans were barely a threat to anyone. They had small ships and outdated weapons. They controlled only a few systems near their homeworld. The idea that they could threaten the mighty Vraxian Empire was laughable. The council speaker called for order. Thank you, Elder Talvor, for your perspective. However, we must deal with the current situation practically. The council will vote on accepting the Vraxian offer of compensation. Kyung-soo looked around the chamber. He saw the faces of the representatives. Most had already decided. They would vote to accept the credits. They would close this case. They would forget about Haven 7 by next month. Wait, he said. Everyone looked at him. The news from the Galactic Council reached Earth like a wave of cold water. 50 million credits for 10,000 lives. The Council had voted to accept it. They had dismissed humanity's pain as if it were nothing. As if the people of Haven 7 had not mattered at all. But Earth did not accept the money. The human government made an announcement that surprised many alien species. They rejected the compensation. They withdrew from most galactic activities. Human ships stopped exploring new sectors. Human traders began returning home. Human diplomats packed their offices on alien stations and left. The galaxy thought this meant humanity had given up. They thought humans were going home to hide and heal. They were wrong. On Earth, something extraordinary was happening. Every government on the planet held emergency meetings. Nations that had fought each other for centuries sat down together. They had one topic to discuss. Haven 7 Jiwoo was there. He had returned to Earth carrying the data from the massacre. He showed the recordings to every leader, every general, every person who would listen. He showed them the images of children running from fire. He played the audio of Governor Taemin's last words. He displayed the moment when Da-un's transmission cut to static. No one who saw these recordings could forget them. A decision was made. It was unanimous across every nation. Humanity would prepare for war. Not a small war. Not a quick revenge strike. Totalvar. The kind of war that would ensure nothing like Haven 7 could ever happen again. Jiwoo was promoted to Admiral, then Supreme Commander. He became the face of Earth's military transformation. But he did not want glory or power. He wanted only one thing, to make the Vraxians pay. The transformation began immediately. Every resource on Earth was redirected. Factories that made consumer goods started making weapons. Scientists who studied medicine began studying warfare. Engineers who built bridges began building warships. But humanity did something clever. They did not do this openly. They did not announce their plans. They did not make threats. They simply became quiet. They pulled back from the galaxy and worked in secret. Deep space stations appeared in hidden locations. They were built behind dead stars where sensors could not find them. They were placed in gravitational anomalies that masked their signatures. They were disguised as asteroids and comets. The galaxy had no idea they existed. These stations became humanity's workshops. This is where the real work happened. Thousands of scientists worked day and night. They had one goal: understand alien technology and make it better. Humanity had been using their own technology for space travel. It was good but not great. Human ships were slower than Vraxian ships. Human weapons were weaker. Human shields were less effective. If humans wanted to win a war, they needed to improve everything. So they stole. They captured. They learned. Captain Hana led many of these missions. She was young, only 25, when Haven 7 was destroyed. Her father had been Governor Tae-min. She had been off-world during the attack, visiting Earth for advanced military training. She never got to say goodbye to her father. That pain turned her into something dangerous. Hana became the leader of Earth's Black Operations Division. Her job was simple: acquire alien technology by any means necessary. She was very good at her job. Her first major mission was against a Vraxian scout ship. She and her team waited near a known patrol route. When the Vraxian ship passed by, they disabled it with an electromagnetic pulse. The Vraxians never saw them coming. Hana's team boarded the ship, downloaded every file from their computers, and took the ship's weapons and engines. The Vraxian crew was left alive but stranded. By the time they were rescued, the human team was gone. The Vraxians reported the incident. They said unknown pirates had attacked them. They never suspected humans. Why would they? Humans were weak. Humans had retreated. Humans were not a threat. Hana did this again and again. She hit Vraxian supply convoys. She infiltrated their research stations. She even placed spies in their military academies. Every piece of information was sent back to Earth's secret stations. Human scientists took apart Vraxian technology. They studied every circuit, every power cell, every weapon system. They learned how Vraxian shields worked, how their engines could travel faster than light, how their weapons generated plasma. Then they made improvements. This was humanity's real strength. They were good at taking existing ideas and making them better. They asked questions that other species never thought to ask. What if we changed this component? What if we used different materials? What if we combined two systems in a new way? Soon, human ships were being built with hybrid technology. They used Vraxian engines, but with human improvements that made them faster. They used alien shields, but with human modifications that made them stronger. They developed weapons that no one had seen before. But technology was not the only thing humanity worked on. They also studied their enemy. Jiwoo created entire departments dedicated to understanding the Vraxians. How did they think? How did they fight? What were their weaknesses? Human spies infiltrated Vraxian society. Some underwent surgery to look more alien. Others used holographic disguises. They got jobs on Vraxian worlds. They joined Vraxian military units. They learned the language, the culture, the tactics. One spy named Bo-Ra worked as a janitor in a Vraxian military academy for 5 years. Everyone ignored her. She was just a cleaner. But she had access to classrooms and offices. She placed listening devices everywhere. She copied training materials. She recorded strategy lectures. The information she sent back was invaluable. Humanity learned that Vraxians were overconfident. They believed they were superior to all other species. They never expected serious resistance. Their battle tactics had not changed in 100 years because they had not needed to change them. They always won. This overconfidence was their weakness. Jiwoo and his strategists planned to exploit it. Meanwhile, Earth's population was changing. Children grew up learning about Haven 7 in school. Every student could name at least some of the victims. They learned about Governor Tae-min's bravery, about Dr. Yuna's sacrifice, about the children who died in the school. But the lessons were not taught with rage. They were taught with cold clarity. This is what happened. This is what the galaxy allowed. This is why we prepare. Young people joined the military in huge numbers. They trained harder than any previous generation. They learned to fly ships, fire weapons, plan strategies. But they also learned patience. Revenge was not about anger. It was about calculation. Anger makes you stupid, instructors would say. Patience makes you deadly. Remember Haven 7, plan for justice. Wait for the right moment. The entire culture of humanity shifted. People worked longer hours. They accepted shorter rations so resources could go to the military. They volunteered for dangerous missions. Everyone contributed in some way. And they did all of this quietly. The galaxy barely noticed. Human ships were rarely seen outside their own systems. Human communications were minimal. To outside observers, humanity looked like a species that had been broken by tragedy. They looked like they were hiding. The truth was very different. Humanity was sharpening itself into a weapon. Hana continued her operations. She stole technology from the Zelvar Collective, a species known for their advanced antimatter containment. She infiltrated the Korvashi military and learned their sensor systems. She even managed to place a virus in the central computer network of a Vraxian defense station. The virus would sit dormant, waiting. When activated, it would give humans control of the station's weapons. She placed similar viruses in dozens of locations. Backdoors, Trojan programs, security flaws. All hidden. All waiting. Jiwoo visited the secret shipyards regularly. He watched as massive vessels took shape. They were larger than anything humanity had built before. Each ship was equipped with the best of human and alien technology combined. Each ship was crewed by volunteers who knew they might die in the coming war. How long until we are ready? Jiwoo asked the chief engineer. The engineer, a woman named Su Jin, looked at the construction schedule. At current pace, 47 years. Jiwoo nodded. Then we wait 47 years. Some people thought this was too long. They wanted revenge now. They were still angry about Haven 7, but Jiwoo was firm. If we attack before we are ready, we will lose. If we lose, Haven 7 means nothing. We must be patient. We must be perfect. We must be sure. Years passed. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. The galaxy forgot about Haven 7. It became a small footnote in history. Just another border dispute that ended badly. The Vraxian Empire continued expanding. They claimed more systems. They grew more powerful. They grew more arrogant. Vrextal became Grand Admiral of the entire Vraxian fleet. He commanded thousands of ships. He was considered one of the greatest military leaders in the galaxy. People said he had never lost a battle. He lived in luxury on the Vraxian homeworld. He gave speeches about Vraxian superiority. He had completely forgotten about Haven 7. Why would he remember? It had been such a small action. One colony. One quick strike. Nothing important, but Jiwoo remembered. Every single day. He was now in his 60s, but he had not slowed down. He used medical technology to keep his body strong. He used mental enhancements to keep his mind sharp. He would live to see justice. The Vraxian patrol ship Delta 7 was on routine duty near the outer territories. Nothing exciting ever happened here. The crew was bored. They had been scanning empty space for 6 hours. Their shift would end soon. Then they could return to the station for food and rest. Suddenly, the sensors started screaming warnings. The officer at the scanner station stared at his screen in confusion. "Commander, I'm reading gravitational anomalies. Multiple contacts. Very large." The commander, a veteran named Krixva, came to look. His 4 eyes widened. "That is impossible. Run a diagnostic. The sensors must be malfunctioning." "Diagnostic is clean, sir. The readings are real. Something is opening right in front of us." Space itself began to tear. Massive ruptures appeared, glowing with strange energy. These were not normal faster-than-light exit points. These were something else. Something new. "Get me a connection to Fleet Command," Krixva ordered. "Right now." Before the communication could connect, the ruptures expanded. Ships began emerging. Huge ships. Hundreds of them. Their hulls were dark, almost black, and they moved with perfect coordination. The design was unlike anything in Vraxian records. "Commander, I count 200 ships. No, 300. No, they are still coming. The numbers keep increasing." Krixva felt something he had not felt in years. Fear. Real fear. "Identify them." "Who are they?" The scanner officer worked frantically. I cannot get a clear reading. Their hulls are absorbing our scans. Wait, I am picking up a transmission. It is broadcasting on all frequencies. A voice came through the speakers. It was speaking the common galactic language, but with an accent that Krixva did not recognize at first. Then he remembered. He had heard it only once before, 50 years ago. Human Vraxian Empire. This is Admiral Jiwoo of Earth. 50 years ago, your forces attacked a peaceful colony called Haven 7. You murdered 10,000 civilians without warning or mercy. You claimed it was a lesson. Today we return that lesson. Consider this your only warning. We are here for justice. More ships kept emerging from the ruptures. 400, 500, 600. The scanner could barely keep count. Krixva activated the emergency beacon. All stations, this is Patrol Delta 7. We are under attack by unknown force. Massive fleet approaching. They identify as human. Request immediate assistance. The human ships began moving forward. They did not rush. They did not charge. They simply advanced at a steady pace like a wall of darkness spreading across the stars. Delta 7 tried to run. Their engines powered up. They turned away from the fleet. But before they could jump to faster-than-light speed, something happened. All their systems went dead. Engines, weapons, shields, life support, everything. What happened? Krixva shouted. Why are we dead in space? I do not know, sir. Everything just shut down. We have no power. On the bridge of the human flagship, Hana smiled. The virus she had planted in Vraxian systems 5 years ago had just activated. With a single command, she had taken control of every Vraxian ship in the sector. Their own computers had turned against them. Leave them alive, Jiwoo ordered. I want them to report what they saw. I want them to spread fear. The human fleet passed by the helpless Vraxian ship. 2,000 warships in total, each one bristling with weapons. Each one crewed by people who remembered Haven 7. They left Delta 7 floating in space and continued toward Vraxian territory. On the Vraxian homeworld, Grand Admiral Vraxian was attending a celebration. He had just been given another medal for his military service. He was giving a speech about Vraxian superiority when an aide rushed into the hall. Grand Admiral, emergency message from the outer territories. Vraxian was annoyed at the interruption. This better be important. Sir, one of our patrols reports a massive human fleet approaching our space. Over 2,000 ships. The hall went silent. Then Vraxian laughed. So did many of the other officials. Humans, 2,000 ships? That is ridiculous. Humans do not have 2,000 ships. They barely have a few dozen outdated vessels. Someone is playing a joke. Sir, the report includes sensor data. The fleet is real. Vraxian's laughter died. Show me. The sensor data was displayed on a large screen. Everyone in the hall could see it. The massive fleet. The strange ships. The human identification signal. This must be an error, Vraxian said. But his voice was not so confident now. Even if humans built ships in secret, they could not match our technology. Send the 5th Fleet to intercept them. 500 ships should be more than enough. Orders were sent. The 5th Fleet was stationed near the border. They were veteran crews with powerful ships. They had fought many battles and always won. They began moving toward the approaching human fleet. The 2 fleets met in open space between star systems. The Vraxian commander, Admiral Tolovek, opened a communication channel. Unknown human vessels, you are entering Vraxian space illegally. Turn back immediately or you will be destroyed, Jiwoo responded. His face appeared on Vraxian screens. He looked old, but his eyes were sharp and cold. You do not recognize me, do you? I was Lieutenant Jiwoo 50 years ago. I commanded a patrol ship near Haven 7. I watched your forces murder everyone I loved. I watched you destroy a peaceful colony and laugh about it afterward. Tolovek did not know what to say. He barely remembered Haven 7. It was such a small incident. You have 5 minutes to surrender your ships, Jiwoo continued. If you do not, we will take them by force. Tolovek clicked in anger. You dare threaten us? We outnumber you. Our technology is superior. You are insects trying to threaten giants. 4 minutes, Jiwoo said calmly. Tolovek cut the transmission. All ships prepare to attack. Target their command vessel. Fire on my mark. The Vraxian ships moved into battle formation. Their weapons powered up, plasma cannons charged, missile tubes loaded. 500 ships against 2,000. The Vraxians were outnumbered, but they were confident. They had superior technology. They had never lost a battle. Fire! Tolovec ordered. Hundreds of plasma beams and missiles launched toward the human fleet. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. It was a massive barrage, enough firepower to destroy a planet. The human ships did not dodge. They did not run. They simply raised their shields. The plasma beams hit and disappeared, not reflected, not absorbed. They simply vanished as if they had never existed. The missiles exploded harmlessly against barriers that seemed to bend space itself. Tolovec stared in disbelief. What is that? How are they doing that? Their shields are unlike anything in our database, his science officer reported. They are using some kind of spatial distortion field. Our weapons cannot reach them. Impossible. Fire again. All ships, continuous fire! The Vraxian fleet kept shooting. Wave after wave of weapons fire. Nothing worked. The human ships kept advancing slowly, their shields holding perfectly. Then the humans fired back. But they did not use plasma cannons or missiles. Their weapons were different. Beams of pure white light shot from their ships. When these beams hit Vraxian vessels, the results were devastating. Shields collapsed instantly. Hulls melted like ice under a hot sun. Internal systems overloaded. Ships that had survived dozens of battles died in seconds. Evasive action, Tolovec screamed. All ships scatter. But it was too late. The human weapons tracked their targets with perfect accuracy. One by one, Vraxian ships were destroyed or disabled. Some exploded. Others went dark and dead in space. The human fleet moved through them like a knife through paper. Tolovec's flagship was hit. Half his bridge crew died instantly. Systems failed all around him. He grabbed the emergency communicator. All ships retreat. Retreat to homeworld. We cannot win this fight. What remained of the Fifth Fleet tried to run. But the human ships were faster. They chased down every vessel that tried to escape. Some Vraxian ships surrendered. The humans let them live but disabled their engines. Other ships tried to fight to the end. They were destroyed without mercy. The battle lasted 1 hour. When it was over, 500 Vraxian warships were either destroyed or captured. 0 human ships were lost, not one. The human fleet had not even taken significant damage. Hana reviewed the battle data. All systems performing better than expected. Casualties are 0. All ships report ready to continue. Jiwoo nodded. Good, do not stop. We go straight to the home world. No delays, no mercy. Just like they did to Haven 7. The human fleet continued its advance. Behind them, disabled Vraxian ships floated in space. Some crew members were still alive. They sent desperate messages back to the home world. Messages of terror. Messages of warning. The humans were coming and nothing could stop them. News spread across the Vraxian Empire like wildfire. A human fleet had destroyed the Fifth Fleet with ease. The mighty warriors who had conquered dozens of species had been beaten in 1 hour. Panic began to set in. On the homeworld, Vrextal watched the reports. His confidence was gone. His arrogance was replaced by fear. How is this possible? Where did they get this technology? How did they build so many ships? His advisors had no answers. Sir, we need to activate all defense systems. We need to call back every fleet. We need— Do it, Vrextal shouted. Activate everything. Call every ship. Prepare every weapon. The humans cannot be allowed to reach the homeworld. But deep down, he knew the truth. The humans were not coming to negotiate. They were not coming to make demands. They were coming for revenge. 50 years of revenge. And nothing heeded. The 6 hours passed slowly. On the Vraxian homeworld, the cities emptied. Billions of civilians fled to the countryside or underground shelters. Military bases were abandoned. Government buildings stood empty. Even Vrextal left his office and hid in a secure bunker deep beneath the surface. In orbit, the human fleet waited in perfect silence. 2,000 ships in precise formation. Their weapons were charged and ready. Their crews sat at their stations thinking about Haven 7, thinking about the people who died 50 years ago, thinking about Justice Jiwoo stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked out at the Vraxian homeworld. It was actually beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked peaceful, much like Haven 7 had looked before the Vraxians destroyed it. Hana approached him. Sir, the 6 hours are up. All major population centers show significant evacuation. Civilian casualties should be minimal if we stick to military and government targets. Good, Jiwoo said. We are not them. We do not murder civilians for sport, but we will destroy their ability to make war. We will break their empire. We will ensure they never threaten another peaceful world. He turned to face his command crew. This is for Haven 7. This is for Da-Yun, Taemin, Yuna, and the 10,000 others. This is for every human who was told their grief did not matter. Let them remember this day. Let the entire galaxy remember. He gave the order. All ships. Begin Operation Justice. Fire. 2,000 warships opened fire simultaneously. The barrage was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Beams of white energy lanced down from orbit. They struck with incredible precision. Military bases exploded. Defense platforms vaporized. Government complexes collapsed into dust. Weapons factories melted. Shipyards broke apart and fell from orbit. But the humans were careful. They did not hit hospitals. They did not hit schools. They did not hit residential areas. Every shot was calculated. Every target was verified. This was not mindless destruction. This was surgical removal of military power. The Vraxian orbital defenses tried to fight back. Thousands of automated weapons platforms opened fire on the human fleet, but Hana's viruses activated. One by one, the platforms shut down or turned their weapons on each other. The few that remained functional could not penetrate human shields. The Vraxian fleet in orbit tried to engage. 800 ships against 2,000. They knew they would lose, but they fought anyway. It was their duty. It was their honor. The battle was short and brutal. Human weapons cut through Vraxian ships like they were made of paper. Advanced technology combined with 50 years of preparation gave humans an overwhelming advantage. Vraxian shields failed. Vraxian armor melted. Vraxian weapons could not reach their targets. One Vraxian captain, a young officer named Sectra, fought until his ship was falling apart around him. With his last breath, he sent a message. We underestimated them. We thought they were weak. We were fools. If anyone survives this, remember, never ever underestimate humans again. His ship exploded. He was one of thousands who died that day defending their home world. But the human fleet continued their work. Precision strikes destroyed every military target on the planet. Every weapons facility. Every command center. Every strategic resource. The strikes lasted 3 hours. When they stopped, the Vraxian military no longer existed. The capital city was in ruins. Not from civilian casualties, but because the entire government district had been erased. The grand buildings where Vraxtal had once given speeches about Vraxian superiority were nothing but craters. The military academy where officers learned to despise weaker species was gone. The monuments celebrating Vraxian conquests were dust. Ambassador Kyung-soo watched from Earth. He was old now, in his 80s. He had waited 50 years to see this day. Tears ran down his face. Not tears of joy, tears of relief. Finally, Haven 7 had been answered. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The chamber was in chaos. Representatives were shouting, demanding action, demanding explanations. The humans have declared war on the Vraxian Empire. They are attacking the homeworld without provocation. Someone must stop them. Elder Talvor spoke. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. Provocation? Did you already forget Haven 7? I warned you 50 years ago. I told you exactly what would happen. You did not listen. The Veltari speaker tried to maintain order. Elder Talvor, the situation has changed. We must respond to this aggression. No, the elder said firmly. You must witness it. You must learn from it. This is what happens when you dismiss justice as inconvenient. This is what happens when you tell a grieving species that their pain does not matter. A communication request came through. It was from the human fleet. Ambassador Kyung-soo appeared on the screens. He looked very different from the desperate man who had stood before the council 50 years ago. Now he looked calm, satisfied, dangerous. Galactic Council, he said. I come not to seek your approval, but to inform you of our actions. The Vraxian homeworld has been neutralized. Their military capability has been eliminated. Their government has been removed from power. They will no longer threaten anyone. The Korvashi delegate stood up angrily. You cannot just attack a council member species. There are laws. There are rules. Kyung-soo smiled coldly. Laws, rules. Where were these laws when Haven 7 was destroyed? Where were these rules when you offered us pocket change for 10,000 lives? You taught us that in this galaxy, might makes right. Today we are simply following your lesson. Vraxtal himself managed to connect to the council session from his bunker. He looked terrible. His shell was cracked. His eyes were wild with fear. Please, someone help us. The humans are destroying everything. We need assistance. Kyung-soo turned to face Vrextal's image. Do you remember Haven 7, Grand Admiral? Do you remember the colony you destroyed 50 years ago? Vrextal chittered nervously. That was different. That was a military action. A territorial dispute. 10,000 civilians, including children. You killed them without warning. You gave them no chance to surrender. You offered no mercy. Kyung-soo's voice was ice cold. Tell me, Grand Admiral, do those children you murdered sound like military targets to you? Vrextal had no answer. He knew he was facing something he could not talk his way out of. For the first time in his life, he was powerless. We offered you 6 hours to evacuate civilians, Kyung-soo continued. That is 6 hours more than you gave Haven 7. We targeted only military and government facilities. We avoided hospitals and schools. We showed more mercy in 3 hours than you have shown in your entire career. And yet we are the ones called aggressors? The council chamber was silent. Many representatives looked uncomfortable. They knew Kyung-soo was right. The humans had followed the rules better than the Vraxians ever had. Jiwoo's voice joined the transmission. We do not seek territory. We do not seek to rule the Vraxian people. We seek only justice. The Vraxian Empire claimed they were teaching us a lesson 50 years ago. Today we have taught them a lesson in return. A lesson they will never forget. Hana appeared on screen as well. Let me be very clear to everyone listening. Earth does not want war with the galaxy. We do not want to conquer anyone. We do not want to be an empire. But we will never again allow anyone to harm our people without consequence. Anyone who attacks human civilians will face what the Vraxians face today. This is not a threat. This is a promise, the elder spoke again. The humans have done what they said they would do. They remembered. They waited. They prepared. And they collected their debt. This is the lesson I tried to teach you 50 years ago. Some species, when wounded, become stronger. Humans are one of these species. Perhaps the only species in this council who still possesses this trait. The Veltari speaker tried to regain control. What happens now? What are humanity's demands? Jiwoo answered. The Vraxian Empire will disarm. They will release all conquered territories. They will pay reparations to every species they have harmed. They will never again threaten peaceful worlds. These are not requests. These are the terms of their survival. And if we refuse? Vrextal asked weakly from his bunker. Then we continue, Jiwoo said simply. We have 2,000 ships. We can stay here for years if necessary. We can prevent any ship from leaving or entering your system. We can ensure your empire dies slowly, or you can accept our terms and rebuild as a peaceful species. Choose. Vrextal knew he had no choice. His military was gone. His government was destroyed. His people were terrified. He had been defeated completely. We accept your terms. Good, Jiwoo said. The council will oversee the disarmament process. If the Vraxians violate any term of this agreement, we will return. And next time we will not be so merciful. The transmission ended. The council members sat in shocked silence. The mighty Vraxian Empire, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, had been brought to its knees in less than a week. By humans. By the same species that had been dismissed as weak and emotional 50 years ago. On Earth, celebrations erupted. Not celebrations of violence, but celebrations of justice. Finally, after 50 years, Haven 7 had been answered. The dead had been honored. The promise had been kept. Jiwoo did not celebrate. He stood on his bridge and looked at the stars. He thought about Daun. He thought,